Welcome to Inspired Living with Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. Every Wednesday, Marc, along with his special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Marc will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Marc is a tested, certified, and professional spiritual medium, metaphysical teacher, healer, and spiritual advisor with a spiritual practice based in Seattle, Washington. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
All right. Any ritual is an opportunity for transformation. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be in this magical, magnanimous, magnificent, majestic, marvelous, metaphysical, miraculous, mind-awakening, mind-boggling, and mind-blowing planet of ours. This is Inspired Living. I'm your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here with yet again for another soul adventure and inspiring episode to explore, discuss, and discover the many diamonds within each and every one of us and the many diamonds in our world that have yet to be revealed. So get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, kick back, sit back, or lie back, take in a nice, deep, healing, peaceful, and cleansing breath, and let us prospect together as we discuss today's show topic, which is sacred ceremony and rituals for today's world. This is a how-to guide, so we're going to talk about rituals. We're going to talk about sacred ceremony. I'm happy to have Cynthia M. Ruiz back as a guest. She's been on. It's been a few seasons ago, but she came on with another book that we had a lot of fun with. So we're going to be talking all today for the next few minutes about sacred ceremony and rituals for today's world. So I do want to give a big shout out and do say thank you to all of our inspired listeners from around the globe, the universe, and beyond. My team and I here at Inspired Living are so humbled and grateful to you for listening, downloading, subscribing, leaving reviews, and voting to make Inspired Living a top-rated podcast for inspirational shows to follow and listen to. We've been running in that category for the last 3 years, so we do appreciate you. So you can check out past episodes, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave that review so we can keep growing the show. If you've not yet subscribed or followed the show, there's always time to do so over on our main social media platforms, which is Facebook. Just look for Inspired Living Radio and Podcasts. And also Instagram, and I guess I have to say X now. It's no longer Twitter, but Twitter, X, parentheses, Twitter, and just look for Inspired for Us. That's the number 4. You can also follow us on our YouTube channel, Inspired Living Radio, and we're now streaming through Audible with your favorite podcasting platforms. You can simply say, Alexa, open up Inspired Living Podcast to play the latest episode. So let's get ready to prospect together. Let's get ready to explore and discover through mind, body, and spirit. I'm looking forward to talking with Cynthia today. And with that, I want to read a little bit background about Cynthia's work and what she's been doing. And again, you can reach her at cynthiamruiz.com. She is a professor. She's a best-selling author. She's an executive coach, personal development speaker, and leadership expert. She comes from blended cultures of both Latina and Native American. She has served as a vice president of the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power Board. It's the largest municipal utility in the United States. And previously was the president of LACERS, which stands for the Los Angeles City Employment Retirement System, overseeing a multi-billion-dollar pension portfolio. Cynthia has been an executive in the public sector and is the author and co-author of 5 different books. She also has 2 decades as a successful entrepreneur. Cynthia holds a Master's of Science degree in counseling from California State University, Los Angeles, and has completed a leadership course at Harvard University, John F. Kennedy School of Government, and she's received over 75 accolades and awards for her leadership and community service. As a professor, she received the President's Award from the University of West Los Angeles, UW-LA, for her work as an outstanding professor. And Cynthia teaches leadership at UW-LA School of Business as both the graduate and undergraduate levels. She has over 20 years of experience teaching and public speaking. So this show should be very easy for her. She has received the Cherokee Nation Community Leader of the Year Award for her service to the tribe. And she's also received the Cherokee Phoenix 7 Feathers Award, which is the Los Angeles Business Journal gave to her as a Mentor of the Year award back in 2022. If you want to learn more about Cynthia, you just go to cynthiamruiz.com. Welcome back to Inspired Living, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Mark. Well, I have to say that I'm inspired just listening to your opening. And I start everything I do with gratitude. So, Mark, I just want to acknowledge you and say thank you for everything that you do and for inviting me back on the show. You know, it's been a minute since we've connected, and I watch you through social media. And you are a great example of healthy masculinity, which is very refreshing in this day and time in our society. We see so many men show up with the toxic masculinity, and you show up in such a positive, healthy, inspiring way. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. And I want to say back to you, congratulations, because of your leadership ability, you know, being a leader in many different areas to move us forward as a species, to move us forward as human beings. And we need more people like yourself out there, especially in this world, especially with everything that's going on in our very chaotic, crazy, uncertain world. And I thought just, you know, for the opening of this show and setting intent, because I believe that energy follows intentions, I wanted to read, or maybe if you have your book available, I didn't know if you did, but I have your book open to the gratitude to the Creator, a prayer that you wrote in the book. And I thought it would be a good opening to read through that and, you know, just for prayers and holding space, not only for the people over in Maui and those horrible, devastating fires, but also the people over in Morocco that have, you know, just been impacted, you know, greatly by that earthquake that just lasted, it seemed like forever. And, you know, when you have that many people make a transition out of this world and into the next, a lot of us can feel that from a compassion, empathy standpoint. So do you have your prayer available, or would you like me to read it?
I'd actually like to hear you read it because I've never heard someone else read it before.
Okay. All right. So let me just get to it. So this is called Gratitude to the Creator, and it is a prayer by Cynthia M. Ruiz. Now, you also go by Lion Mother. So I'm just curious before I start the prayer, what is Lion Mother? Where does that name come from, and how did that come to be your other name besides Cynthia?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So Lion Mother is actually my Cherokee name. So as you started in the beginning, I'm Latina and Native American. I'm Cherokee, and Cherokees are the largest tribe in the United States. We were a matrilineal society, and so our Cherokee names usually come from our grandmother. And so my grandmother had passed away, my aunts passed away, my mom had got dementia. So I was like a little disappointed. I'm like, how am I going to get my name? So through a ceremony, I actually received my name. Ernie Frost, who was a Red Fire Cherokee priest, actually tapped into the energy of his grandmother, who connected with my grandmother, and through ceremony, I received my name. Now, Lion Mother comes with a lot of responsibility. First of all, as I just indicated, Cherokees really respect the mother, and the women are strong leaders in our culture, but the lioness sits above on the rocks and oversees the community. So it's my job to really, promote my community and really nurture the community and nurture others. And so I actually got the name only a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic. So with that, it's like I really feel driven to help the community and help the world in many ways as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, this is a gratitude to the Creator from the Lion Mother. So, Creator, Great Spirit, whom I call God, I humbly stand before you to praise you, for you are I and I am you. I welcome you into my heart, my body, and soul. Grant me the wisdom to follow my inner voice, the strength to stay grounded while I sing my sacred song. Guide me down my chosen path with the courage to pursue what is available to me. Allow me to receive the infinite possibilities of the universe. I am appreciative of my lessons, yet grateful for the struggles. I am comforted by the wonderful people you have placed in my life. Creator, Great Spirit, whom I call God, I will walk with you the strength and humility of my ancestors. I honor Mother Earth for the gifts she provides. The fertile soil provides our daily food, and the gift of water is essential of life. Open my heart to the healing of Mother Nature. We are all connected, and through this I find serenity. May I never stop being a beneficial presence on this planet. Walk through me to carry the message of peace and unconditional love. Guide me to bring harmony and balance into this world. Creator, Great Spirit, whom I call God, Aho. And I wanted to open up the show with that for the people of Maui, for the people of Morocco, and for the people everywhere on this planet, as we are one planet, we are one species, and let's have a great, inspiring show. And let's open up about your book. Let's talk about this new book. Let's talk about sacred ceremony and rituals for today's world, a how-to guide. I'm all ears.
Well, actually, before we get to that, I would like to share a little bit. Thank you for reading my prayer and share with the audience how that even came about. So I'm in Los Angeles, and my spiritual center is Agape International Spiritual Center with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And it's a very uplifting, I say I get my 3 M's, message, music, and meditation. And it wasn't until I started taking classes and digging a little deeper that I really was able to connect. So I took a prayer class. And for the final exam was you had to write your own prayer. And at first, the imposter syndrome kicked in, and I'm like, well, I can't write a prayer. Who am I to write a prayer? And then I had to get out of my own way, get out of my head, right? And said, you know what? Why not write a prayer? Because I believe meditation is listening to the Creator and prayer is talking to the Creator. So I said, I'm going to talk to the Creator. And so through my Indigenous Native lens, I wrote that prayer, and I've used it in several of my books, and it's really so meaningful to me. And so I just want to give a shout out to Reverend Michael and Agape International Spiritual Center for me taking that class and writing that prayer.
Wow, yeah. I don't think I knew that the last time. Did we mention that when was the last time you were on the show?
I don't know. It's
years,
been a
right?
minute. Yeah.
Well, I know we've been here for 8 seasons, so I know that you've been on. And have you always been affiliated with that? Or is that something newer?
No. Agape, I've been going there probably about 15 years.
Okay.
And it's back in the day when The Secret came out, I saw all these, talking heads and these amazing people. And when Reverend Michael came on, I said, I need to meet him. I didn't know who he was. Yeah. But I manifested it because I ended up going there, and actually I've been there many years, and he's actually interviewed me on his radio show. So intention is real, people. You can set intentions. It doesn't. The problem with intentions, people set intentions and they want it when they want it. What they don't realize is the universe doesn't really know time the way we know it. So you put it out there, and then it comes back to you when it's meant to be.
Right. Yeah, you got me. I'm all about setting intentions every morning I wake up, because that's all we have is today, right? There's no guarantees for tomorrow. We can't go back and change yesterday. And so I always set that intent to learn, to grow, to be flexible, to have balance, to have compassion, to have empathy, and really set that intention as part of my ritual, as part of my prayer to start my day, because there's just a lot of stuff out there in our world. I always say the world is a vampire, right? And so you've got to set your intentions to be a warrior, but do it peacefully, so you can, spread those ripple effects of love and healing and transformation and all the positive things that we look forward to. But it's not always easy, right? It's tough. And, I'm just sharing with you my ritual when I start my morning. So for your new book about rituals in the modern world, which is, like I said, very every day I wake up like, what's next? This is a how-to guide. So for my listeners, I think we just start with why you wrote the book, and let's start with maybe the first step of how to.
Great. Well, for me, I've been doing rituals and ceremonies for many, many years. And my co-author in this book, her name is Jenny Estrada. She's also Native. She comes from the Yaqui. Her her native name is Sister Weeping Willow. And when she first got her name, she goes, Sister Weeping Willow, does that mean they gave me that name because I cry all the time? And they said, no, it's because the weeping willow bends, but it never breaks. So she's actually a shaman. So her and I have been doing ceremony and rituals for many, many years together. And over the years, we've done ceremony in many different places, from on the base of Mount Shasta, to the ocean, and actually on the top of Los Angeles City Hall. So all over the place. And each time we do ceremony, sometimes it's just her and I. Sometimes it's a large group, especially during the changing of the seasons. And we know that the first day of fall is coming up in next week on the 23rd. And so we do it, and so we invite people. And so people started coming and really getting excited. And so we said, you know what can we do to help others develop their own spiritual practice, which includes ceremony and rituals. Now, it's a how-to guide because we share our knowledge of how we do it, but I also believe there's not a right way and wrong way to do ceremony and rituals. It's just what feels right to you, because everybody has their own spiritual journey. As you know, Mark, you and I always say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So everybody is individual. So this is like a tool book, a tool chest, and you can take whatever you want from it and incorporate it into your life. So we did it because we wanted to share our wisdom and knowledge with others so it could help them develop their spiritual journey, whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah, and I love that. And I loved how you use a reference to the weeping willow about flexibility. I always refer to bamboo, strong like bamboo, flexible. It's actually one of my 3 Bs. As part of my ritual, I always talk about in this world, we have to be flexible, right? Because it doesn't always go our way. So I always talk about bamboo, breath, and balance on the journey. It's very, very important to be flexible, to use that breath, that sacred breath, because you don't know at the end of the day how many breaths that you have, on your journey. And then, of course, the balance in between the physical world, the world that's seen, the world that's not seen, what we call the incarnate. Some people call it the spirit world, and finding that balance between the two can be, challenging. And I love that you have, the native roots, going back to your native roots, which have no doubt influenced this book. But I've always been fascinated with Native American cultures and participating in drumming circles. I think probably my favorite, I have my own drum here in the studio, but I love just sitting in rituals where there's just drumming. And that ritual of just feeling and connecting to the group and connecting to Mother Earth. And so tell me about how your native roots influenced this new book.
Well, I love the fact that you just talked about the drumming, because we consider drumming the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And so from my culture, Cherokee, we're taught to live in harmony and balance and respect Mother Nature. And if you look at Mother Nature, you can get comfort because there's certainty. We know that day will always be followed by night, that winter will always be followed by spring. So the moon is seen in phases. So there's a lot of certainty in nature, which if you tap into that, it can really help you feel grounded and connected. And I think, as you indicated, right now there's a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty. And so people, especially the younger people, Gen Z and the millennials, what they tell me is that they're not really interested in organized religion, which I'm not saying anything bad about organized religion, but they're seeking purpose. And so when they do ceremony with us, they really can tap into their own spirituality, and they feel grounded and comforted. So, in Cherokees, we're taught that we are connected to everything. Everything that's not only existed before us, exists today, but that it will ever exist. So having that holistic view of life and understanding the oneness, that really comes with responsibility, because once you know everything's connected, then you may show up in the world a little bit differently.
I love that. Yeah, that's good stuff. So, like I said, I'm just so fascinated with, and you're right about today's society is a lot different than you and I growing up. And, I always say if there's any religion, and, not talking bad about any religion, for me, the new religion, and I did a previous podcast about our new renaissance, we're going to experience more in the next 30 years with technology than we have in the last 300 years. And so the new religion, technically, from studies and polls and data, is technology and finding purpose, whether that's through technology, virtual, or we're in the metaverse, especially after the pandemic, which helped push us into this more online presence that we didn't have before the pandemic. And it's very clear that these younger generations are seeking purpose, are seeking connection. But it's just interesting that our world has gone more into silos, working from an online standpoint versus the collaborations that we used to do. But I think that we'll get back to that. So,
but it goes back to what you said earlier. It's about balance, right? Technology is a good thing. We don't have to be afraid of AI, but it has to balance out. If you're only using technology and you're losing the human touch, that's not a good thing either. And that's why I share some of my Indigenous teaching, because it's really a lot, simpler. And for example, one of the things we do is we pray in 4 directions. In most Native tribes, we have the 4 cardinal directions that we pray in: east, south, west, and north. But as a Cherokee, we actually have 7 directions we pray in. In addition to the 4 cardinal directions, we pray above to the Creator, we pray below to Mother Earth, and then we pray center, not from an ego point of view, but so we understand that we're connected to everything around us. And once you understand that connection, that's where I feel people can be grounded and comforted in this crazy time.
Yeah. And the example, going back, I totally agree with you on the technology where, there's a lot of fear and fear mongering around AI. And I always remind people, especially for my listeners around the globe, a reminder that the internet has only been around since 1993. So the internet was first created, I believe, January 1st, 1983, and it wasn't until 10 years later that it was actually released to the public on April 30th, 1993. So you got to think we're less than 30 years of having what we call this World Wide Web, this internet, this connection. And I believe that AI is going to be pretty much an enhanced version of our internet experience. Now, with everything comes good and bad. There's dark stuff on the internet, right? But the internet, I know has helped me. It's helped me with my telemedicine. It's helped me with my website. It's helped me to connect to people. So there's benefits and there's, positive and negative aspects, but we're human, right? So that's always going to come with the human experience. But this AI that a lot of people are scared of, I think that it's going to revolutionize and it's going to help us maybe think less, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but it is going to help revolutionize our connections and our interactions as a species and where we go on this planet and when we start to leave this planet, because you're going to see a big, exploration in space. So, that's going to take place. So for your book, I know you said you're not talking about religion. I know in the book you talk very much that this is a spiritual book, but you would say this is not a religious book, correct?
That's correct, in the sense that we're not associated with any particular religion or denomination. It's more spiritual. And just as you indicated, you have your spiritual practice, as do I. The very first thing I do in the morning is my gratitude list. Grateful to be alive. I live in LA, where we're the homeless capital. I'm grateful to have a bed, roof over my head. So starting with that attitude of gratitude sets the tone of my day. And then throughout the day, I pray and I meditate. And so that's the core of my spiritual practice. And then it's enhanced by doing rituals and ceremonies. So again, it's about everybody finding what works for them. And that's why we're not associated with any particular denomination. It's like, I feel that we all have a direct connection to the Creator. I say Creator, God, universal consciousness. To me, all those terms I use interchangeably, and you just have to figure out what works for you as an individual, because we all have our own spiritual journey. It doesn't make it better than the next person. And so that's why we need to bring more love, compassion, and acceptance. Right now, people want to judge each other. People want to hate each other. And
It's horrible.
like, Martin Luther King said, you can't eradicate hate with hate. You can only do that with love. So
With love.
I want to show up. I want to show up as love. And I think it was Bob Marley that says, love is my religion. And so,
Well, or the Beatles, all you need is love, right?
right. And it sounds so simple, but it's hard because,
It is.
as human beings, we do have all this stuff that, this emotional baggage that are created by the bad experiences we have in our life. And we don't have a lot of ways to heal. So I think, healing is not linear. It's a process. And so the more we heal from the trauma that we had in our life, the more we're able to show up with love and compassion for others and ourselves.
I was going to say, and ourselves, because we have to love ourselves so we can put that energy, that vibration, that intent out to a world that needs more love. And all you need is love. So we're going to go to our first break, Cynthia, and I want to read a quote real quick from Christina Baldwin that says this about ritual. Ritual is the act of sanctifying action. Every ordinary action so that it has meaning. I can light a candle because I need the light, or because the candle represents the light I need. And that's by Christina Baldwin, all about rituals. So we're going to take our first break, our only break, and we'll come back here in about 2 minutes, and we're going to pick up the conversation. We're talking with our special guest today, Cynthia Ruiz, a.k.a. the Lion Mother, and her book, Sacred Ceremony and Rituals for Today's World, a how-to guide. We'll be right back here on Inspired Living.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
One planet, 7.3 billion people. Only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing
a job and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Inspired Living, the preparation for the ritual. is The Ritual. Our special guest today, Cynthia M. Ruiz, a.k.a. the Lion Mother, talking about her new book, Sacred Ceremony and Rituals for Today's World, a how-to guide. Welcome back, Cynthia. Let's pick up where we left off, just talking about this book and the inspiration and your native roots to this book. This book is not a religious book. This book is a spiritual book, so make sure to check it out. And you can go to Cynthia's website. Do you have any other places, Cynthia, that you'd like to promote today that people could pick this book up besides your website?
It's on Amazon.com. We were happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that when we launched the book, we were #1 in shamanism. And so that was a great honor. So either my website or, just directly to Amazon.com.
Okay, so CynthiaMRuiz.com as well. And you and I share something since the last time you and I spoke. I, too, am a published co-author, and I, too, am a best-selling Amazon writer. As far as it came up in a couple different categories: metaphysics, spirituality, and one other, but it's called Between Worlds, and it's reflection. So it's true accounts of psychic experiences through my connection to Best American Psychics. So I write about the journey. I write about my reflections on, being a psychic, being a spiritualist, being a medium, being an intuitive. So congratulations on your best-selling book on Amazon. So I know you've written other books as well, and I know the last time you were on, and I apologize, I can't remember the last what topic we talked about, because I've had lots of topics since the last time you and I spoke. But what did we talk about on the previous episode with you?
Right. So the last time I was here, we talked about Cherokee wisdom, 12 lessons for become a powerful leader,
right.
And it's really just knowledge. It's not original content. It's actually knowledge that I've gotten from my Cherokee ancestors about leadership. So my books fall in the genre usually of self-help, personal development, or just information that I want to share with others to help them really have that spiritual journey and live their life happy, healthy, and with integrity.
Yeah. And now that you say that, I do remember that. So if you want to check out that, for the inspired listeners out there, if you want to check that out, the previous episode that we did, you can go to your favorite podcasting platform right now, or you can say, Alexa, open up Inspired Living Podcast, and you can stream that episode. If you want to check out that, what I call diamonds, that wisdom that Cynthia shared with us. So one of the questions I have for you, Cynthia, and reading through the book, and it's a very easy read. It's very, I can't remember right off the top of my head how many pages, but it was like 120 some pages, if I remember correctly, looking at the book here. Very easy read. But I was going to ask you, because in the book you talk about the 4 elements, and you just brought that up just a few minutes ago as well. And I've always done an exercise where I face the 4 directions. So, for example, from a Qigong experience, you face the east with the rising of the sun, and then you face the west with the setting of the sun, and then you, of course, face north, you face south. And every time I've done that, I've always felt a different energy, a different vibration, a different feeling compared to the north versus the south, the east versus the west. But in your book, you talk about the 4 elements. You want to just share with our listeners what they are and the purpose of the 4 elements?
Yeah, so the 4 elements are earth, wind, fire, and air. And so with any of these elements, earth, like you talked about during the commercial break, how you take people hiking, for inspirational hikes. Well, it's because you're using the power and the energy of earth. Fire, what I use fire for is release work. Now, I believe that our life is like a circle, only so much fits in. So you have to do a cleaning and release so new stuff can come in. So what we do during ceremony is whatever you want to release, we have our people write it down, and then we throw it into the fire. The fire burns it, and you literally see it go up in smoke. So I said earth, wind, fire, and actually I was wrong. The last one's water. So water is something that most indigenous tribes use. Cherokees, every morning they would do a water ceremony. They'd go out to the stream and really put the water over themselves to cleanse any negativity, any thoughts from the previous day, so you can truly live in the moment. But I have to say that for ceremony, fire is probably the most predominant one. And we do have a fire keeper. Now, traditionally, the fire keepers were men, but I'm not tradition, I'm more modern day. So our fire keeper is a woman. And so the fire keeper prepares the fire, sets the intention. And again, it's one of the elements that we use as a part of our ceremony to amplify what we're doing. And let me just say, ceremony can be anything. Yes, we do the full moon, the 4 seasons, but when you think about it, traditionally ceremony, what are ceremonies? People get married and have ceremonies for their weddings. We do ceremonies for when people buy new houses. We go there, clear the house, clear the energy of the house, and do a ceremony, setting the intention of living there happily. So ceremony really can be done for anything in your life where there's a transition, where there's a change. I've actually done ceremony with some of my girlfriends after a divorce. And so the ceremony is to close the door on that chapter. And without judgment, it's like, okay, the ceremony, we're closing the door on this chapter and bringing in new positive intention. So ceremony can be done for many, many reasons.
Yeah, and for thousands of years, right? We bury our dead, right? So that the ritual of transformation, and sometimes that's either buried, or you talked about fire, the great cleanser, right? Cremation. We've done some very interesting episodes in the past years about death and dying and the process of. It was called, one of the episodes was called "Greening Death," and so it's been very interesting how we look at that ritual of burial and honoring those that have made the next step. Because I don't believe death is the end. I never have. And so for me, it's like just another, journey or soul adventure. But yeah, the rituals, I think it's important to us as human beings. It ties us to not only our traditions, but it ties us to our histories. It ties us to our ancestors. And I know in the prayer, you prayed to the ancestors. And I think that's a connection. And I think that's why rituals are so very, very important.
And rituals don't have to be anything crazy. My co-author, the shaman, her rituals are when she's sweeping. She's sweeping, and when she's sweeping, she's setting intentions. When she's in a pool, she'll do circles in the pool and pray. So it's whatever you want to make it to get you through transitions, to get you to a new chapter, to release. It's really whatever you want and need in your life at that particular moment.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to be very transparent here. I have a ritual that I do, especially if I'm going to be doing any kind of an event, a spiritual event, a one-on-one with a client, focused on mediumship, connecting to the spirit world. And I get very, very nervous. And one of the rituals that's helped me over the years, especially if it's a big event, I have a couple of events coming up that are going to be, a lot of people. And so, of course, you get that nervousness, that energy. And one of the rituals that I do, my mentor taught me this years ago, is I clean the house. So one, you're getting the benefit of cleaning the house. And two, for me, it calms the mind. It's my ritual to be in that calm state so I can do the work for spirit when I'm, working as a medium to help people with their grief, their loss, the death and dying. And I always say there's nothing more humbling during that moment than cleaning the toilet, right? It's like, cleaning your house, cleaning your toilet. And I always just was like, okay, that's very humbling for our journey. But that's actually a ritual that I have before I do any connection or reading. So thought I'd just throw that out there for transparency for my listeners. So, but there's nothing more humbling than that, right?
I love that. First of all, that you're that vulnerable to share that. And second of all, as a man, that you even admit cleaning the toilets. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's from my military days, the cleanliness in me, the organization in me. So some people might label that as OCD. I always just say very in touch with energy, because everything's energy. And so if something's out of place, it's energetically making me, a little itchy, a little like we need to put this in the right place. So yeah, I think that stems from my military days. So
and what I do is, one of my rituals, because I'm like you, I do a lot of public speaking, is that I do a protection ritual, because we know that we're all energy, right? And when you go into a large crowd, there's a lot of different energy. So what I do is I look up to the sun, bring the energy of the sun around me, and do a protective bubble of white light. So when I am going into large audiences, I don't get any of that negative energy on me. So that's my ritual before I go into big crowds.
Yeah, I
Because you got
love
to
that. 'Cause
protect your energy.
yeah, you got to. It's that bubble, right? It's that energy. And wouldn't it be
Mm-hmm.
interesting if we could see people instead of just seeing people in their human flesh suits, if we could see their auric fields? If now I can, but not everybody does. But when
Most people
when
can't.
you see colors, right? When you see colors, you would see that energy, the ripple effects of that colors. Wouldn't it be such a different world? Wouldn't it be just if you could see people's colors as you're going into that big crowd of all the different colors? Like, oh, there's a very dark color, there's a very light color. And then you said this is I'm going to throw some metaphysics in. Is when you look up at the sun, a lot of people don't realize time is the great illusion because you're actually seeing the sun from 8 minutes ago. The actual sun that's being
Mm.
presented to Earth is more than 8 minutes time wise for that light to travel to the planet. So when you're looking up at the sun, it was 8 minutes ago that you were seeing that light. Isn't that interesting from a metaphysical standpoint? So a lot of people
It
don't think of it
is.
that way. Yeah, but
The other
there's me.
the other
So
way the other way I clear my energy is we burn sage, Palo Santo, cedar,
oh,
and
love
then
that. Yeah.
we use that and we burn it and have the smoke go around us as a protective shield as well. I tell people it's like the movie The Black Panther, how they had a whole shield over the city. Well, you need to
Yep.
shield yourself when you go out into the general population.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love the journey of aromatherapy and the incense that can really trigger to help you go
Mm.
deeper or to really trigger to release, to heal. Yeah, I definitely love all of that. Um, just for them, looking at the clock here, it goes by. So these shows go by so quick. I love it. I love it. So again, we talked about the four elements. We talked about the four directions. And I love doing those types of, just acknowledging and bringing that into awareness. Like you talked about the hikes. I have my hikers do the four directions, why they're out connecting to
Really?
nature. Because yeah, and it's very interesting. We'll meditate by water, and then we'll do four directions to feel the different energy. And of course, you're using that earth. You talked about earth being that connector, Mother Earth. Because it's all connected to us, and people, even non-believers, are like, yeah, I could definitely feel something different. I just thought I was coming
Mm-hmm.
on a hike. I didn't know I was going to do a spiritual meditation. But just for this book today, Cynthia, what do you want people? I'm just going to I'm just going to shut my mic off. I'm going to turn this over to you. What do you want people to take away from this book in a how-to? What are some how-tos for the next few minutes that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
Well, first of all, I want people to understand that you are the creator of your life. And because you're the culmination of all your choices that you've made. So if you're unhappy about some aspect of your life, you can make different choices. If you're unhappy about your job, change it. I think that anything is possible and you can have the life of your dreams. You just need to choose that. And for me, with this particular book, it's just to give you tools to enhance your spiritual journey. We're sharing ideas. You may take some of the ideas and use them. Some of them may not resonate with you, and that's okay because you are on your individual journey and you should do whatever is right for you and make choices that are right for you. And so, for me, I want everybody to live a happy, healthy, fun life, and they can do that. And one of the ways that they can do that is incorporating ceremonies and rituals into their life. And so, Marc, I just closing really quickly, I wanted to share a quote from somebody that's participated in our ceremonies. It said, "The full moon ceremonies are very powerful for me. I've learned to ground myself, be still, listen, and connect with my ancestors and native roots. They have changed my life. I'm so very grateful and blessed to be a part of something so spiritual and beautiful." And that quote is by Gemma Ramirez.
Beautiful. So just curious what other projects that you have going on, and anything that you're building off from this book. Are you actually holding like sacred ceremonies that would be tied to this book in and around your area? Or are you traveling, or what are some of the projects that you're building as we move into the fall of 2023 and into 2024, if you can believe that?
Well, actually, I'm going backwards and to bring it forward. So my very first book I wrote over 10 years ago is called Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World. What I'm doing is I'm going back and releasing a second edition of that book, and I'm actually adding a lot more exercises, a lot more work, things that people can do, because people like to read, but they want tangible things that they can do to improve their life. So Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World, the second edition will be out in the next month or so. So sometimes you got to go back to bring more information forward. And I have to say, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. So I feel like I have so much more that I could put in the book and share to be a beneficial presence on this planet.
Yeah, a couple of addendums to the book. There's amendments to add, and I hope that you're a different person from 10 years ago. There's always a
Right?
saying, you don't want to be the same person from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And now I'd like to have the mind of what I have, maybe the body of my 20-year-old self. Wouldn't that be nice to go through life? And when I was preparing for this show, I actually looked up a couple quotes, and there was one, and I don't know if you know who said this, but he said this. Quote, exercise, prayer, and meditation are examples of calming rituals. They have been shown to introduce a happier mood and provide a positive pathway through life's daily frustrations. Any idea who might have said that?
I don't.
So I'm kind of dating myself.
It.
Yeah, I love it. I saw that quote and I was like, really? He said that? Now, I'm dating myself a little bit. For the younger audience, you may not know who this gentleman is, but for us, we know him as the famous Chuck Norris, famous karate actor. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting that, he's not, I wouldn't say he promotes himself as a spiritual guy, more of a martial art, which is, in my sense, a spiritual practice of connecting. But yeah, exercise, prayer, and meditation are examples of calming rituals. So if you're listening to today's show, make sure to get Cynthia's book, add this to your repertoire of, information, and start practicing prayer, meditation, exercise, create rituals, because in the end, it's going to help you through life's daily frustrations. And trust me, today there is a lot of frustrations with people. You can see it, you can read it. The data is showing us that there is a great transformation taking place. And in the end, I think it's going to work out as it should, just like the water flows, and we will have to be the bamboo, the breath, and the balance. So as we get ready to close, Cynthia, what's the one message you want to leave the audience with about this book, your writings, your journey, and your native roots?
So basically, I just want to remind people not to compare themselves to others. Every person is a unique individual. Own your uniqueness. Do the work to be happy with yourself, and you can have the life of your dreams. And in closing, again, where I started, Marc, thank you so much for showing up as this amazing person that you are, spreading inspiration and knowledge to really help people on their spiritual journey. So in Cherokee, we say wado, which means thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. And like attracts like, right? So right back at you, many inspiring people through your many outlets and your public speaking and your executive leadership that you're doing, because we need it. The world needs it now more than ever, from what I've seen. And just want to say thank you for being on the show. And we just have a few minutes here. What inspires you?
So I'm very inspired by nature, going out in nature, but I'm also inspired by people's stories. Everybody has a story. So when I meet new people, I say, what's your story? And they look at me like, what? And I said, share your story. And it's really, what inspires me is people because there's, even though we see a lot of negativity, I believe there's more good than not. And really just, tapping into the energy of people and respecting people and appreciating people inspires me each and every day.
I love that. Yeah. And nature, like I always remind people, our greatest teacher, our greatest healer, our greatest engineer, and Mother Earth is teaching us still today. So thank you for that. So, like we like to say here on Inspired Living, be inspired, inspire others, and definitely inspire before we expire, right? So make sure to check out Cynthia's new book, Sacred Ceremony and Ritual for Today's World, a how-to guide. And again, you can go to her site or Amazon, CynthiaMRuiz.com, and you can pick up her other books. You can check out our past podcasts that we did together. And just a lot of diamonds out there, a lot of information and a lot of wisdom. So, Cynthia, it's been a pleasure having you on today. And if you keep writing these books, which I have a strong feeling and intuition that you will, make sure to hit me and my team up so we can bring you back for another inspiring episode of knowledge and wisdom here on Inspired Living. Sound good?
And Mark, keep shining your light because it's a bright one and much needed at this time.
Oh, thank you. I needed to hear that. So thank you so much. So until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. And most importantly, wherever you're at in this crazy world of ours, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover that diamond within. We'll see you next time here on Inspired Living. Until then, take care, spread love. Namaste.